Welcome to the Women Inspire Aspire podcast. In this episode, I talked to Poornima Sasidharan about therapy storytelling.
Hi Poornima, how are you? Thank you for accepting my invite to appear in this podcast.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay, my name is Poornima, and I am a storytelling therapist primarily, though I dabble with soft skill training at times. And storytelling therapy is my passion. And beyond that, I am an avid reader. I love reading, and I love watching short movies. That has more depth than long movies, perhaps. And I'm very, very curious about knowing people, not interacting with them, knowing people. I'm a person who wants to talk about people, who wants to learn about people, and in my own way, if I can, who help people.
Okay, that sounds great. I am a storyteller too. Usually storytell for adults in the social settings. I
Okay.
usually try to tell stories in the corporate environment also regarding the
Okay.
business, linking the high level vision and mission goals to the employees. That's the kind of storytelling that I do. But it's pretty interesting that you are storytelling for therapy. So tell us more about how storytelling is helping in therapy.
Okay, if I put it in this way, we all have a strong sense of self, right? You know yourself as a person, don't you, Venkat? So you have a strong sense, a self of who you are, right? Like I do about myself.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, if you have noticed, we are shaped up by our circumstances or the experience that we have gone through in our life. And in any case, if it is like we came up from a background where we had to go through some trauma or something very staggering, our mind has an unusual way of hooking to it. So we compress our entire narrative in that path, like I underwent that was my life. So somehow it colors our entire narrative, and that's the course of the path that is set. So what happens is we become unidimensional unknowingly. We might go out, we might earn, we might have success and all, but at the back of the mind, there will be a story that is full of so many assumptions, full of negativity. Might be obvious, may not be obvious, might be affecting your life, may not be affecting your life. If it is not affecting your life, well and good. But if it is affecting your life in any way, you need to come out of it. You need to change the story. If I can give you an example, suppose I am coloring the story of my life from that trauma point, and I'm coloring it with a vivid red. The more I tell myself from that point of view, the shade of that red becomes darker. It eclipses the color of all other incidents in my life, all other experiences in my life, right? So I have to take you out of that incident and empower you, like come out of that incident through certain techniques which I use, and I will make you stand apart and make you watch it from the viewpoint of a stranger or of a person who has the capacity to come out of it, who had already come out of it. And now from that point, when you look, you won't feel as if the shade is that dark. Slowly we have to incorporate all of the shades in your life. We have to navigate through so many experiences, and that gives you a different perspective, an empowering perspective. That's what storytelling therapy does for you.
That's wonderful. That's really interesting to know because I have been reading about some psychology before, and your perspective is really truly wonderful. I have also heard people, tell me in the past that you behave a certain way, you are restricted in a certain way, you are not coming out of your shell. There is something bothering you, which is it's making you behave in a certain way and things like that. And I acknowledged that and I said that yes, I am this way because of some past experiences. So I am this
True.
way. Um, but how much it affects my behavior and my social circumstances these days, I don't know. Because only the
Yes.
external people can tell me, how much it affects me. There have been instances where people tell me, Venkat, you could be in a different way that would help you socially and things like that.
Yes.
While I'm trying to, mold myself in a different way, it would definitely help
Yes.
for someone else who can look at it from an outsider perspective and help me, as you said, put out of the box and try to observe it from a stranger
True.
perspective, so that it doesn't affect me so much, so that I can look at it from a stranger's perspective, which is great, which is wonderful. Now so I understood the therapy part. Now coming to the storytelling part, really,
Mhm.
how does it work? Because storytelling, who does the storytelling? Does the person who is undergoing the therapy will do the storytelling, or the person who is helping would do the storytelling?
Definitely the person who is undergoing therapy. Because as I was saying, if the person is coming from the point of trauma, their entire world is focused on that from that part. So we have to change that narrative. Like I ask, okay, I have to come from a place of deep understanding and deep empathy, and from there I have to slowly hold the person's hands and bring that person out of that narrative and say that, see, now this has happened. uh, as a bystander, or as a person who, suppose somebody else was there as a participant or a silent observer or a supporter, or somebody who was there for this person at that time as a support system. From there, when you look at it, how will you feel? Or is there a movie that goes so strongly resembling your life? Is there a story or something that you have seen, somebody else's life incident, where you felt as if this person underwent the same thing as I did, but came out in this way? And if you resonate with that, now when you look at it from that perspective, if you can change your narrative, how will you change it? As a grown up, how will you change it? So you take that person to different angles and push the envelope and make them think from different perspectives and slowly make them realize that there can be a different change or nuance or ending for their story. And it's a bit time consuming because, as I was saying earlier, we all are strong with our identity. And if this identity has been with us for a long time, that molding has gone for a long time, and we're strongly stuck with that. To take us out of it is not that easy. To put us somewhere, somehow, we have become very comfortable with that narrative. To take us out of it is quite painful. We are digging our own roots, and we are going to uproot us and plant us somewhere else, as that is a tough task. But as a therapist, it's my duty to make sure that that person has to dig their root, and it should be in their own pace, in their own story. Only then they will understand. Otherwise, I am enforcing a story on them, which will never wash. So they have to bring that story from a different angle. That's something they have to do. They have to break the shield. They have to accept it and move forward.
Wonderful. So not only we are comfortable with our own stories, we also like our stories, don't we? We don't want to give that up. I
Yes.
have a question. So,
Okay.
how long does it typically take? See, I feel that therapy is kind of a double-edged sword, because sometimes you may not want to go into areas if you are not ready for it. From your perspective, from a storytelling therapy perspective, would you go into something which the person is not ready with at that point of time in their life? Or how long does it take, just to get a feel of how the things work?
Yes. That's a very, very valid question because, as you said, like we may think we are ready for a change of narrative, but and we may think it's a harmless piece of comparing to other complicated terms in psychology, and all. We might think, okay, storytelling therapy, it's doable, it sounds interesting, and it's not going to dig deep, and all those things. It gives you a false sense of comfort, but it is quite the opposite. It makes you tell the story in your own way, in different ways, and you are grueling yourself to say it out. and in different narratives, and you are forcing yourself to understand it from different perspectives. So if you are not willing, you will quit halfway. So only the very determined can actually go through the entire session. It may take up to 8 weeks to 12 weeks. And I always do this. I always keep my email, WhatsApp, everything open, because I always tell, at any time you want to talk, talk. Anytime you don't want to talk, don't talk. All you have to know is that I am here for you, because uh, when it comes to happiness, Venkat, we are very easy to please. We are very easy to share our happiness with others. But when it comes to the deepest part of our sadness, we may not open it up with our nearest or dearest. It can happen. So there is the sense of loneliness attached to that trauma point. And if you know that there is a person who is there to listen to you and help you unburden yourself and take you out of that, what you say, that Bermuda Triangle that you have put yourself in, that prison you have put yourself in, you will feel a sense of comfort. So I try to be that person for the uh, that person who is willing or brave enough to come out of that shell and put them through this. It's a grueling session anyway.
Okay,
Yes.
so 8 to 12 weeks. Wonderful. Thanks for that input, and thanks for all the details about your work and your career. Let's move on and talk about something else. Now, I would like to know about your hobbies and interests and what you do in your spare time.
Uh, I love having spare time and I love reading. Reading is my vice, because once anything has gone to an excess, it becomes an addiction, it becomes a vice. So reading is my vice, and I can completely get lost into it. And it's not a particular genre that I prefer. Sometimes some articles can hook my interest, sometimes romance, sometimes political thrillers. So it varies. And reading is my vice. Then I'm a home decor enthusiast. My ultimate hobby, I can say, is just do nothing sometimes.
Only a person who knows the value of time knows that how much valuable it is to have some time of doing nothing. Is it some kind of meditation path that you take?
I just lie down and my pastime is to look at the clouds. I don't do meditation. I don't know whether that is meditative, but I love watching the clouds passing. I don't know what that fascination is all about, but I do love it. And it somehow suits me.
So, looking at the clouds is a luxury, especially living in a city. I don't know, maybe you have a terrace.
I live in a village.
Oh, you live in a village. Okay. That's where you get to see the clouds. But most of the people, they don't even look up these days. Let's move on and talk about some things that I usually ask all the guests. What are the societal issues that you see around you, and what bothers you, and how do you address them apart from, of course, the therapy and all that, the real society issues?
Wow, what a fascinating question. Right at the top of my head, there is one answer, is like blinking like neon light. It's loneliness. I feel as if this loneliness is gripping people like a disease, like COVID. I'm not exaggerating, but this is what I have been seeing. Everybody is lonely some way. We are all talking so much. We are all listening so much. We are so much connected through social media and all. But what I feel, what I see is that loneliness. Even with the closest of the relationship, there is loneliness. There is something that is obstructing the way of truly connecting with another person. And I don't see it with the severity, with the way that I see it in the youngsters, in the older generation. But there is loneliness because the younger generation can't connect with the older generation. For example, I will tell you, recently I saw the passing away of one of my oldest neighbors. And what I found was, I was walking, I had gone for a walk. His widow was sitting outside the house, and she was surrounded by so many other elderly men and women. and they were sitting and just chatting. Usually at that time when I go for a walk, the husband and wife would be watching TV or talking or just looking at outside. But when she was all alone, and this has been going on for quite a long time, every evening a cluster of men and women who are of her age, they would sit together, they talk until it is late in the night. So in that way, with that generation, that loneliness is less. But when it comes to younger generation connecting with older generation, there is a disconnect. Younger generation connecting among themselves, there is a disconnect. And I find loneliness as the most concerning thing that I'm watching in the society now.
You know what? The reason for that, I think, is that our tolerance levels have gone down, and this is why I think the loneliness has set in.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. That we don't have that energy to connect. And I think somehow we have lost that energy to and lost a way to connect also.
Yes, energy is an important thing. I feel that the energy has gone down. And one way of building that strength is to have daily routines.
What I think is today in your LinkedIn post, you said Navratri enthusiast. And it's an honor for me because, as I was saying, why I cling to storytelling therapy, because at one point in my life, I really needed it. And I am an introvert, and I don't like people much. I don't like people much because, I don't know how to connect with the people. And somewhere I started having a daily routine, and this really routine, my spiritual routine, I'm not deeply religious, but I'm highly spiritual. So when I started doing this, Navratri is the time when I open the house and invite people in, voluntarily invite people in, spend time with them, and I select gift for them. What I might not talk to them daily, they might think that I'm aloof or something, but I observe people and I know what people might like. So I keep that in mind. I take effort to buy gifts for them. I make sure that when they come inside my home, they are very comfortable. They are no way burdened by my introversion or aloofness or whatever it is. I come out of it. So this has happened because of my daily spiritual connection, a daily spiritual routine. And Navaratri is just a progression of that. When you are participating in spirituality for quite a long time, and on the tail end of it, you have your religious things, rituals to do, and that gives you that systematic way of doing it, that gives you a lot of mental strength, as you were saying. And it takes you from point A to point B in a very rhythmic way, and that is comforting. So from there, when I go to Navratri and the 9 days, I have people in my home. I am me who has come out of the shell, and genuinely I love that spirit and that time and love that happiness, and that reaffirms the thought that I have to connect with people, and connection is strong, connection is good. So in that way, what you were saying absolutely resonates with me.
Our societies have been, our culture have been built with these kind of systems. If you look at our 365 days, there is something or other that keeps coming on a daily basis, right? So some festival or something. So we have built that into our system so that we don't need to go out of the way to do all this and practice things. We need to do that or something like that. It keeps happening very naturally if we try to incorporate this into our lives and try to follow these traditions. I think we're all set for the inner strength.
Venkat, can I interrupt you here? I have been reading about this woke culture. I respect those people who believe in it and go for it. But as a person who have been in a darker spot in my life and who had lost faith in God, that thing that brought me out of my deepest pit of hell is this simple routine of waking up. When you do puja or when you are praying, you need to have a cleansed body, cleansed mind, cleansed environment. So when you are targeting all those things, clean, 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 we are slowly cleaning our mind. And when we focus on one simple ritual, pluck a flower, keep it in front of God, we are doing something that is not concentrating on us. The focus is on something else, something positive. And as you said, like that inner strength slowly builds up through these simple steps.
Absolutely. And then there are side effects and benefits out of what we are doing. Not only it builds our strength, it also builds up an external environment which is conducive for spiritual aspects and going beyond our normal things. It is subjective, and it would be irresponsible to talk about those dimensions if you have not experienced that. So okay. So, what else do you want to talk about today?
I think I have talked about most of the things I am very passionate about, like
Mhm.
storytelling, and all those things.
Mm.
And this has been a very eye-opening session for me. You're bringing in people and you're asking them questions. Sometimes these questions may not be something nobody has ever asked them. So they have to think and answer for it. And that's actually quite challenging. And that's a wonderful thing that you're doing. You asked some questions that made me think in different ways, and then we had discussions on different topics. And when I look at it, it's like a zigzag pattern. Somehow they are all interconnected, and that makes it a very fascinating session and speech for me.
Wow, what is that zigzag pattern?
From one way, when I look at it, okay, this is going to be a session where we will be talking about very obvious things, very surface levels things, because the questions are sometimes very evident. What is storytelling and all those things. From there, we delved into that question about what is that one thing that you noticed about what makes people suffer nowadays. And somehow, when I think it in that way, it is connected with a trauma part of our mind. From there, how inner resilience is needed. So it is like a comprehensive talk. From different angles we are coming to one target point, and that's like a zigzag connection for me, from this zoom to that zoom, from this zoom to that zoom, and somehow they are all connected.
Okay, I'm so glad that you found the conversation intriguing and interesting. Thank you so much for
Yes.
spending time with us in this podcast. And I wish you all the best in your career and work, and of course, hobbies and interest, and you are doing nothing.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Mm.
So, thanks once
Thank you.
again, and take care, and bye bye.
Thank you, and get wish you all the best. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
That was a great podcast with Poornima Sasidharan. Please subscribe to this channel and follow it for more awesome podcasts. Opinions expressed by the guests in this podcast are their own. The host or the sponsors of the podcast do not condone the opinions expressed by the guests or the actions arising out of those opinions. Any decisions or actions that the listeners might take as a result of listening to this podcast must be based on their own judgment and will be at their own risk. The podcast host or their sponsors will not be held responsible for the consequences of any actions and or decisions taken as a result of any content in this podcast.